Moving to the next session. So to the next session now, we'll be moving to the keynote session, where we'll be having Aniedi to kickstart the keynote session to launch the event fully, open the floor for other speakers, and open more enlightenment about what DevFest is all about and how we are going to be stronger and better together. And that's what DevFest is all about. And over to Aniedi.
All right. Thank you very much. First of all, I want to say that I really like the theme of the DevFest this year, chosen by GDG Akoko, about stronger together, better together. And I think there really isn't a better time to really talk about how we are stronger together and better together than this year of 2020, which has been one of the most, I would say eventful and confusing years. I don't really have a keynote to give, so I would rather say I have maybe like an opening remarks or welcome remarks, but I'll share a few things, and I hope that by the end of today, we'll just get a little bit of inspiration and some ideas behind what we are up to. So if I can share my screen and see if this works. Let me know if you can see my screen. Does that work? I just want to confirm that my screen is being shared. Okay, so like I said, my name is Aniedi, and I work on the developer relations team at Google. Primarily, our team interacts with developers all over the world through various programs. And these programs are really designed to ensure that we can provide a little bit of support, a little bit of help, a little addition to make it easier for developers to succeed or just to get to the next level of their career. So whether you're just getting started or you're going from getting started to becoming an intermediate developer, or you're already there and you just need a little bit of information, some resources and some connection to either become an expert, find a good job, or just find a community where you can ask people for information and you're more likely to get it. So I think that whole story of togetherness is really part of parcel of what we really try to do. We try to bring people together. And the GDG program, the Google Developer Groups, part of one of our programs, like you might have heard of DSC, which is Developer Student Clubs, and things like Women Tech Makers and Google Startups, Google for Startups, and also the Google Developer Experts Program. These are the groups under which we've been working together and delivering some level of value for all community members who care to join or participate in our events. So that's really what the developer relations team at Google is. There are other aspects of developer relations that have to do with things like writing documentation, or writing tutorials, supporting people through forums or Stack Overflow, partnering with people like Udacity, Coursera, Udemy to record video tutorials that are broadcast on YouTube or on these learning platforms. So it's kind of a broad range of disciplines and skills. But for my team, we've really focused on a couple of key programs, and GDG is one of them. Within GDG, DevFest is our annual event. Some say it's an abbreviation of Developer Festival, but it's more like a celebration and really a coming together of different developers speaking about different topics and basically sharing what they've been up to over the last 1 year. So I looked at this picture from the 2019 year in review, and this really, gladdens my heart and gives me some nostalgia looking at all the events that GDG Akoko has been up to. This was just in 2019 from the review I saw, but over the years, there have been amazing events from DevFest Akoko, and I really want to thank the organizers, the leaders, who have really done a great job of making Akoko and Ondo State stand out with this GDG Akoko. I do remember that I think in 2018, I think it was 2018, you had one of the largest DevFest, and even when you have clusters, you're always very active around the communities and the other GDGs that are there. So really the spirit of DevFest is, yes, we come to learn, we come to pick up technical skills, but more importantly, we come to connect, we come to network, we come to be in touch with one another and continuously inspire us for another year as we make plans. And while this is something that would have been lovely to have this year, unfortunately, this year has been a very different year. So I got this photo of CNN, and it really touches on a number of issues that are kind of like dear to me. This is a standard appearance these days. You look at cinemas, halls, churches. I mean, we're coming out of a situation, and I would just talk a little bit about some of the words that have become part and parcel of our day or our lives over the last 7 to 9 months. But if we look at this carefully, there's a lot. Like I said, the picture has it's worth more than 1,000 words. A lot of industries, entertainment, events, conferences have been affected by what everyone has come to call the new normal. So venues are struggling. People are not coming together. Even now, when maybe lockdown has been lifted, or the pandemic is in quote over, or COVID-19 is not being taken as seriously as before, or people are even like, you know what? Yes, COVID-19 is there, but I could also die of hunger or out of lack of economic opportunity or work. But speaking, everything has really changed. For many of us as developers, we may have just seen a bit of an increase in the number of calls we make, the number of communications we have over WhatsApp, the number of webinars, and sometimes they're just too many that we now attend. We may have cut back on some of the things we used to do before, and it has been different. But if you look on the other side of the divide, there are people who are not used to this lifestyle at all, connecting online, trying to do work online, trying to learn online, trying to earn money online, trying to make friends online, trying to find love online. A lot has really changed. And for many of us who are in the software and technology industry, it almost seems like, to some extent, maybe we're 30%, 50%, or 60% prepared for this eventuality. But what this has also made us realize is that here in the problem, or in the situation or the scenario, is a whole bunch of opportunities. We've heard of companies that are completely going remote. Now, we know that in our region, and first of all, speaking about DevFest Akoko, which was also postponed, we have all sorts of challenges all across Africa and interestingly in America. This has been a period of things like elections, we've got riots, we've got protests, we've got added that to even like the lockdown and other things. It has been a time of uncertainty. And now we're hearing of companies working remotely. Companies are saying they will work remotely forever, or they will put the remote work option there, indefinitely, or maybe even forever. So which means that for a profession, a discipline, an industry like software development and technology, this is kind of like an opportunity for us. In Nigeria, more and more businesses, even governments, are beginning to do things online. We are seeing something as interesting as the Federal Executive Council going virtual, which means if you're a DevOps engineer, a network engineer, an IT engineer, within government, within the public sector, a lot of businesses that were not interested in tech or technology are almost compelled to switch to this new way. And in switching to this new way, they've realized that, maybe there are even some advantages, or they can amplify their productivity, or for businesses, they can reach more customers, not only them walking into their offices or walking into their shops. So whether it's e-commerce, e-governance, remote health, there's a lot of opportunities, and the tools we have, the skills we have, are really, really, really finding opportunity there. Now, what are some of the things we've gotten used to that we've almost, I would say, adapted to? Very typical with Nigeria, with our shock absorber mentality. Lockdown. For months, we were stuck at home, but many of us took advantages of opportunities provided by Google, Microsoft, Facebook, Coursera, Udacity, Udemy, to really level up on our skills. There were a lot of free courses, free coupons, and even though it was a bit challenging, many of us were still able to join some of the existing programs. We're able to connect with speakers far and wide. We're able to join events in other countries that sometimes those events wouldn't have been online. So we interacted with speakers, developer advocates, got a little more information, connected with a few more attendees from across our borders during this whole lockdown period. So it wasn't convenient. It was very stressful. It has affected our events. Our events don't look like 2 slides ago when we're all coming together, but we've gotten to adapt to it. So yes, new vocabulary, new words came into our thinking, came into our discussions. Pandemic. Of course, probably was a word that I knew, but never really affected me. I didn't even know what the impact of such a thing would be. But we've tried to adjust. I'm taking in this call, DevFest Akoko, from my bedroom, from my daughter's bedroom. Ideally, I had been looking forward to a time where I would join GDG Akoko or come to Ondo State for an event such as DevFest. And much as I've been postponing it this year, even though I'm part and parcel of DevFest Akoko, this is not how I intended to be part of it. We've also heard about social distancing. Now, just looking at these 3 words that have come from nowhere into our vocabulary, it really says a lot about how quickly things can change and why it is important to be prepared for those changes. So if you're prepared for those changes, if you know how to work online, if you know how to connect online, you already have an advantage, and you absolutely can take advantage of your advantage. For instance, a lot of us are very conversant about the company Zoom. Thousands of people, a few of us in the IT industry probably knew about Zoom last year, early in the year. But all of a sudden, apart from the fact that the business has earned tons in terms of money, in terms of valuation, in terms of multiplication of value for the founders and the owners and the investors, it has also come to the limelight of people who wouldn't have done it before. I've attended public hearings, government meetings, even things from NIDA in Abuja, all being streamed or connected, or having even Nigerian ministers come on Zoom just to interact with people, giving an opportunity for our voices to be heard, and also letting people realize that to get things done, you don't have to go all the way to Abuja or fly to another city. Doesn't mean that only those in Lagos will get all the opportunities. Now, opportunities are being spread in a more open and democratic way. We do realize that there are challenges. Earlier today, I was speaking with the people from Tanzania, and I think the internet is blocked in their country. So some of them have had to connect with VPN and other things just to get online. This is as a result of things around civil unrest or government clampdowns or whatever the situations may be. But the point is, in challenges, there are huge opportunities. One industry that I think is big in Nigeria, and everybody can admit, is fintech and payments. The ability to go cashless. When there was a lot of talk about cashless Nigeria and online payments 3-4 years ago, and people started switching, and there were all sorts of, I would say, decrees, acts or policies around this. Many of us, in quote, took this for granted, or were a bit reluctant, or we said, oh, it's only going to work in Lagos and Abuja and maybe Port Harcourt. I'm not saying that the infrastructure is all there yet, but the truth is, with these new words like pandemic and lockdown, things around deliveries, things around ride sharing, things around e-commerce, things around payments became part and parcel of our consciousness. And without doubt, it's very obvious why one of the biggest success stories out of our ecosystem drove an enormous amount of value. We've all heard about Paystack, the great work done by Shola, Ezra, Okpe, Emmanuel, and the entire team, Khadija, and all that. Amazing. So the point is, in the midst of challenges, if you have the right skills, if you continue building your skills, you can build an immense amount of value. Paystack literally went from 0 to a $200 million acquisition in less than 5 years. 2015, 2016, this is 2020. So I was listening to a live webinar yesterday from Tech Cabal in which Tomiwa was interviewing the CEO of Paystack, Shola. And Shola will tell you he's a product guy. He wants to solve problems. Every day he's talking to businesses that want to get paid, that want to pay, that want to sell their goods. And at the bottom of his heart, he doesn't take himself as the most fantastic developer in the world or whatever. He also had doubts about his abilities and his skills. But by collaborating, by building a team and looking at a problem, they built a $200 million as at now, according to information that is out there and its value, that has first of all attracted a lot of attention from Y Combinator, from Stripe, from lots of investors. A lot of local investors have also, in quotes, exited or cashed out on their business. So I want us to just remember that our industry is that industry where you can build from scratch. You can take your knowledge, combine it. DevFest is not going to give you all you need. GDG is not going to give you all you need. You're going to piece all these things together webinars, lectures, stocks from speakers, tutorials, all these things you will assemble together to start building skills and abilities that you can use. Now, when you turn that and focus it on solving a problem, whether it's GovTech, we've seen a lot of mobilization in the civic space, even the EndSARS protests that got us affected. We saw how technology was used to mobilize, finance, create a little bit of buzz, and then in many ways was kind of instrumental to even the success. And now that we're talking about the aftermath, people are bringing technology into the whole process of finding answers, healing, recuperation, investigation, and so on and so forth. So in my final analysis, we've watched the video, we've seen how so many integrated technologies from within and outside Google can piece together to help you build the back end, the front end, and even the services for your app. Everything is also changing. Now we're talking about things on the cloud, hosting things. If you're into machine learning or data science, you would realize that some of the strongest devices or configurations you can have to get started don't necessarily have to be your local machine. You can just use something like a Jupyter notebook or Colab and connect to a server, and then literally have the environment of the PC and all that computing power that is not generally available to you. And then even if you're just using cloud, you can go into the cloud, spin up a virtual machine. We're even going beyond cloud now to talk about things like serverless, where you can literally get a function to run on the computer and only execute when an event happens. So if an email comes or a tweet, or you detect something, or someone signs up on your website, you don't even have to completely set up the other machine. You can get a piece of code to run and trigger out another service or an API to make things work. So all I've tried to summarize for you is that we do find ourselves in an unusual situation. But if we come together, if we use all the technologies and the opportunities we have together, and we understand that things may not necessarily go back to normal, but as things have changed and as our modalities have changed, it has also created opportunities in government, in technology, and in our space. And we are the most in the pole position to benefit from these changes. So once again, as we go into this, I just want to thank everyone for being part of DevFest and DevFest Akoko. It's been a pleasure to just tell you or share some of the perspectives of things I've been thinking of. It goes beyond what language or what framework, what's coming out, looking at the bigger picture, because it's not just the code you write that will make you successful or put $200 million in your pocket or some money in your pocket after 4 or 5 years. It's really looking at the big picture and realizing that the way things have changed for an industry like ours that we're interested in, we're actually being positioned to take better advantage of the value that is created, the opportunities that are being created by the changing things and some of the problems that exist around us. So thank you. Hope you have a great DevFest. Hope you pick up 1 or 2 things. Hope you connect with each other on other parts of the networking platform, on the stream, in the chats. And I do hope you make the best, as our team does whatever we can to provide you with resources to succeed. You also make it easier and more fulfilling for your organizers to see you succeed, and for the whole community to succeed once and stronger and better together. Thank you very much, and I'll be on the side just watching a few sessions before I go on to other things. Once again, thank you.
It's really gone a long way in terms of enlightening the audience and everyone out there about what DevFest is all about and the challenges so far. We really appreciate that for your kind words all over the presentation. That's a very wonderful one. Thank you so much, Aniedi.
Thank you.
Moving on to the next session. So bye.